Hello, Math Champions. In this video, we will be learning about decimal division. More than decimal division, you will be actually learning the same long division method, but this is an extension of that because whatever numbers that we are dealing with generally is called decimal numbers. Means, say when we have a number like this, right? How do we read it? 1234, right? What is the expansion of this? It is 1000 plus 2 times 100 plus 3 times 10 plus 4 times 1. Now, if you see all these numbers, right? All these 10,000, 100, 1, 10 and 1, all these are are some part of something called decimal system. Okay, and also if you see, this is the ones place and this is the tens place, this is the hundreds place, this is the thousands place, right? So the place value also goes by 10 10. Deci means 10, 10 times more, 10 times more it is becoming, right? So this is called as a decimal system. So entire number system that we generally learn in our lower grades, it's all decimal system is what that we learn. So decimal division is not something separate, something new. It's the same division only that you have been learning. So let's have a quick recap about the long division method that we used to do, right? Let's say it is a 234 divided by 2, let's say. How would you do it? 234 inside the brackets and 2 is outside. 2 times 1 is a 2 and subtraction 0. You can take the 3 and 3, okay, and 2 times 1 is a 2 and then subtraction 1, and then you take the 4 and it becomes a 14. 2 times 7 is a 14. Subtraction gives you a 0. So if it is like this, okay, simple. The answer is nothing but 117. The quotient is right and the remainder is 0. Now, what if I had just, I'm going to increase this number 234 to 235. Okay, the same divisor is same. So what happens to this division? Let's see. So we put the 235 inside. 2 times 1 is a 2, subtraction 0, and then you take the 3 down. 2 times 1 is a 2 and a subtraction gives a 1. I take the 5 down. Now it becomes a 15. Now 2 times 7 is a 14 and I get subtraction 1. So usually what happens, we stop till here and we say the quotient is 117, the remainder is 1, right? Till now we have done like this and there's nothing wrong about it. But the thing is, when you say decimal division, that means you can further divide it. Further divide it means that even till the remainder also becomes 0. Okay, we will try to do it. That's the meaning. Now, for this to do, how can we do? We learned this division before we learned fraction, before we learned decimals. Now, when we learned about fractions, we understood there is something like within that one whole also there are some small parts, right? We learned about those parts. Those are called fractions. Fraction means something which is lesser than 1, right? Pieces lesser than 1, parts which is lesser than 1 as well is there, right? So when I'm having a 1, I'm going to divide, means when I divide it, the answer, the pieces is going to be lesser than 1, right? For example, if what is happening here, I have a one whole number, one whole is here in the remainder. That means let's say one circle is there. Now dividing by 2 means what? I'm going to cut it into two pieces, right? So I cut it into two pieces. Now if you see, this piece is 1, this piece is 1. But both these pieces are lesser than 1, right? Lesser than 1. So that means today we are going to get fractions. Decimals is what? Decimals is another way of telling fractions. That's all, right? So now, for the sake of understanding, what is the thing that we're going to do is, see, whenever we have a number like 235, this is in the ones place, this is in the tens place, this is in the hundreds place. Now, when you've learned decimal, you also learned that this decimal point after the ones. And whatever is a place after the decimal point, it is called as a 1/10th place, right? Then this is the 100th place, correct? So like this, you have different place. Though we don't write numbers here, but the places are already there. Already there it is. It is there. Just that when I have a 235, there is a decimal point and there is 00000. That is the meaning. That means I do not, I'm not mentioning it because 0 times 1/10 is 0 only, no? 0 times 100th is 0 only. So they don't have value because of which I don't mention. But it is there. So now I am having this point 0, 0, 0, 0. How much ever you want, you can assume it is there. Okay. Now keeping that concept, I will say, okay, there is a 0, 0, 0. That means there are other digits that I can take down, right? Just like that. So, but there is a decimal point in between. So the decimal point will come in the quotient as well. Because till here 117 whole numbers are there. Now whatever you're going to do is going to come in the fractions part. Now this part after the decimal point, these are all fractions. It is lesser than one part, right? So I'm going to have a decimal point even in the quotient now. After that, I take this 0 down because I've already taken the 5, right? See, here I have taken the 5 already. 5 is already taken. The next digit that is there is 0. So I'm going to take a 0. Now this becomes like a 10, right? So what do? 2 times 5 is a 10. And I subtract it, I get a 0. So I got the remainder 0. So I don't require all of these things. I don't require. Okay, I don't require. Just with the one of the zeros, I was able to get the answer. And the remainder is 0. Now, I don't have to tell separately remainder is 1 and quotient is 117. I can directly say the answer to this is 117.5. This is how I can do. This is a long division method. Now, this is when the dividend was a whole number and the divisor is also whole number. What if I have a decimal number in the dividend, that is 23.5 divided by 2? If I have something like this, what do I do? What is the meaning of this? Meaning is again 23.5, I'm going to take it inside and 2 is on the outside. Now here also I must know that 5 is in the 1/10th place and I can have a 0. I can assume a 0 in 100th place. 1000th place, I can assume a 0. Basically, because 0 of those things will not give any meaning. It will 0 times 100th, 0 times 1000th is again going to be a 0 only. Right? So, I can assume like this if I want to. Okay, if I want to, I can assume it. As of now, let me keep it like this and see what happens. 2 times 1 is a 2. Subtraction gives me 0. Then I take the 3 down. 2 times 1 is a 2. And a subtraction, I get a 1. And now, before I go to the next digit, there is a decimal point in this. That means now I'm getting into the world of parts, right? World of fractions, world of decimal numbers, right? So I'm going to have a quotient. In the quotient, I'm going to put the decimal point because after this, what all comes in the quotient, these are also partial numbers, like not partial numbers, fractions they are. Okay, so I have taken the decimal point because after the 3 there's a decimal point. I've taken it. Now I take the 5 down, so it becomes a 15, becomes a 7 times 14. Okay, 7 times 14 and it's a 1. Now there is I can assume a 0, right? I can assume a 0, right? Because in the previous thing I also mentioned how many ever zeros I want, I can mention, I can take it. So now I'm taking one of the zeros there down. It becomes a 10. So it becomes a 7. 2 times 5 is a 10 and I'm going to get a remainder 0. So now the answer is 11.75. I hope you're clear with this. We started with a normal number where there's no division, where there's no remainder. Then we've had a remainder as 1 and then we saw how we could continue that one assuming point and a 0 and then we continued and got a decimal number as answer. Then now we took a decimal number as a dividend and saw how we can do. Now, what if the divisor is also a decimal number? Okay. Divisor is a decimal number. That means let's say 23.5 divided by 0.2, 0.2. If it is like this, what to do? Right? If it is like this. Now, because the divisor is having a decimal, it will become little difficult for us. Now, this division always can be represented by 23.5 over a 0.2. Remember, when you have 1 divided by 2, you can represent it as a fraction 1 over 2. We can do that. Or 1 over 2 can be written as 1 divided by 2. Okay, so I can write it this way. Now when I do this, we know that this is a fraction, no? I can get an equivalent fraction of it. Because there is a 0.2, what if I multiply by a 10 on the numerator and the denominator? What happens to this is this becomes 235 divided by 2. So now see, it became easy for me that, oh, this is a divisor. 235 divided by 2. And I continue the normal division like we did in the previous. Like here we did it. 235 divided by 2. It's the same thing, right? We will get the same kind of answer. What if now, let's say, I have a 235 divided by 0.2. If I have only the divisor is having decimal number, same thing. Just take a 235 over a 0.2, and I know because there's a in the divisor I'm having a decimal point, I'm going to multiply by 10. So this becomes 2350 over a 2. So now take a normal division of 2350 divided by 2 and do the division. Long division, you're going to get the same answer. What if you have a different kind of a scenario, like let's say 2000, no, let's say um 0.0.23235 divided by 0.2. Okay. 0.235 divided by 0.2 means, again I'm just going to multiply by 10 because my objective is only to get the divisor as a whole number. So I get a 2 in the denominator, and I get, because the decimal point is here, it's only going to be 2.35. 2.35. Now I do the normal division as we did in the 2.35 and divided by 2. Okay, 2 times 1, 0. And because this is decimal point here, I shift the decimal point here. And then I take the 3 and I continue like that. It's the same way to do. Okay. The only objective is to make the divisor as a whole number so that you can do the division. That's all. Right? I hope you're clear with this concept of decimal division. It is just an extension of the normal division that you have been doing. And there's nothing new about it. You can go ahead and try some problems on your own, because as I always say, it is not enough just to listen to what is being done. It is very important that you try on your own. Only then you would have learned it. I hope you are very clear about what I have told now. Without practice, nothing can be mastered. Go ahead and practice it. I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye, Math Champions.